Okay, hello. Today I'm going to talk about postpartum lessons learned. Excuse me. That was like so bad timing. Hold on. So, what I'm going to try to do, and I'm not digging in my nose, sorry. I just have an itch. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Tis the season. So, what I'm going to try to do is film this straight without making any edits. So, let's get started. I'm going to touch on three topics: understanding, empathy, and accountability. Let's start with understanding. I did not understand what postpartum could really look like. So I suffered heavily with postpartum depression and anxiety. Also, if there was a pregnancy or postpartum symptom to be had, I would have it, which is why I'm not having any more kids. There's a whole other slew of reasons, but I mentally I can't deal with that anymore. So back to understanding. The difficult part is that postpartum is different for everyone. So there is no like one book that works for everyone. There is no one routine, no one concoction. Like everyone is different, which is probably why the health benefits and healthcare options for women when it comes to this are crap because there are probably a lot of women that are like, oh yeah, I know a few people who had breezy pregnancies, breezy um, labor and deliveries, breezy postpartum, no issues anywhere, breezy breastfeeding and pumping. They were cows. All they had to do was think, and it would just spew out. Babies latched perfectly. Um, Alicia, friend, I'm talking about you. I love you though. But anyways, so there are a lot of women that do have smooth sailing experiences. And I love that for them. And I wish it were true for everyone, but it's not. And I do think that women that have that smoother, because nothing is smooth about pregnancy or labor delivery, nothing is smooth. But women that have smoother experiences um, make it a bit harder for those of us that are more similar to me who struggle. So understanding, I did not understand. I'm usually this person that's very strong, very like I know what I'm doing. I'm usually well put together. I'm I plan everything out. I can do anything. This isn't gonna affect me. That's like I didn't even really think of it because it was like I don't even know what that is. I have great emotional intelligence. You know what I mean? Like I talk about my problems. So when I tell you though, um, when my son was born, my brain did a full 180. I didn't know who I was. I kept thinking that he was just going to stop breathing randomly. I had to stare at him the whole time. And I would get mad at my husband for not being as paranoid as I was. Looking back on it, we'll get to that in the next piece. But in the moment, yeah, I'm like, how could you be sleeping? It's like, oh, well, it's probably because he doesn't have anxiety keeping him awake. Like his body is functioning normally. So um, that's the whole thing. So understanding the potential effects of postpartum is something that I did not have. And if you have not had your children yet, or if you're pregnant now, or if you've already gone through this, dig into more understanding. I also had a doula that helped me tremendously. Okay, so the next one that I'm going to go to is what did I say? I said understanding. Did I say compassion? I might have wanted to say empathy. It's kind of one and the same. So let's just say compassion. Compassion. I did not have enough compassion for myself or for my husband. Let me make that a bit more clear. So, when it comes to more compassion for myself, I was beating myself up because I did not understand why I was being this way. So, my mind and my brain were functioning in a way of depression and anxiety. However, I still had some logical sense to me. And I would say, literally out loud, like, hey, people have kids every day. Your child is going to be fine. But that didn't stick. I would still panic about any and everything when it came to my son. And then I started having this mental battle with myself because I'm not understanding why I couldn't connect to the logical side of understand. Like, I would even tell myself, hey, there are people who live on the street with newborn babies. Your baby is in a home. Your baby is going to be fine. Your baby has their mother and their father and their grandparents and their aunts and uncles. Like, you have a great support system. Why are you stressing so much about the safety of your child? Why can't you sleep? Uh, but that meant nothing to my brain because I still tripped out. I um I'm gonna use the word forced, even though my husband went along with it. Um, he's very supportive and understanding. But I basically forced my husband and I to be on 8-hour shifts, wake shifts. Luckily, he did have um, paternity leave, so he was off a bit during that time. So we were on 8-hour wake shifts to make sure that someone had eyes on the baby at all times. Thinking back on it, that sounds crazy. Thinking back on it, that is crazy. However, I was a bit crazy. So that's that. Excuse me, hold on. Okay. So I did not have enough compassion for myself. Now let's talk about the compassion for my husband. Um, being in the state of, what word do I want to use? Being in the state of just having so much anxiety and depression, let me just say my postpartum state. Being in that state, again, I had the logical side trying to peep through. It was being suppressed. I was not understanding. Hold on, my camera is falling. I was not understanding why my husband was not on my same level. And it made me feel like he didn't love me or the child as much as he should. Um, I would be like, as soon as we leave the room, I need the monitor. I need to see. I can't even walk out of the room without my baby, without the camera being right here. He wasn't like that. Like, of course he would go turn it on, but it doesn't have to be on before the door closes, type of thing for him. And I would just feel like that's like such a betrayal. Like, do you even care? So my anxiety was fueling my lack of compassion for my husband. So, like, if he would want to go and do something outside of the house for a minute or a couple of hours, in my head, I'm like, I can't even leave my baby's side. Why are you? You can just leave? You can just go? You're having a good time? You're laughing? How are you laughing? Something could happen to the baby, you know? So, and I've apologized to my husband for this already, but I feel bad about it. I feel bad for both of us because I don't know who that person was. I don't know where she came from. I don't know who invited her in, but I do know that it made us stronger. So, thanks, girl, but don't come back. You are no longer welcome here. Now, let's move on to okay, we did understanding, compassion slash empathy, and accountability. Looking back, hold on. Looking back, I know that I wasn't always right. A lot of things were led by anxiety and fear, and the way that I would want things done wasn't always right. I forgot to mention I was also breastfeeding, so that added to like sleep deprivation. I was a hot mess, hotmess.com. But this is something that I will tell any new mom if we're close enough, because not everybody is ready to hear it. Like I wouldn't have been ready to hear this earlier in my journey, but I think that we as mothers need to take more accountability in terms of respecting the fact that we naturally, when I say, I'm not talking about every woman in the world, I'm not talking about every woman in the world. Everybody's different. But if you're like me, I'm talking to you when I say we. Okay? Cool. We naturally are going to have a closer bond to the baby for at least the first year, first 2 years, because we literally carry this child. We feel what they feel. If the child is screaming, it like feels like fingernails on a chalkboard internally. Like all of the atoms inside are like scattering around. If whatever emotion the child has, we feel it internally in our souls. And that's something that you can't really expect anyone else to understand. You can't expect your husband to truly like know what that feels like. They should have empathy for you, right? They should be there to support you, but you shouldn't expect them to know what it feels like. Just like they don't know what it feels like to be pregnant. They don't know what it feels like to have a period. They don't know. They don't know what it feels like to have to wear a bra all day. You know what I mean? So being accountable in yourself, um, what's the word I want to use? Self management, being accountable with your self management, with what you expect from others and from yourself and things around you. If your husband is struggling or not doing something right, whatever that means, okay. Like most cases, the women are spending more time with the children. So the women are creating these routines and figuring out things that work for them and the baby faster. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't allow your husband to go through that same process and find things that work for him and the baby. And if it's not working the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 20, 50 times, That's okay. They can keep trying it because eventually it might work. Because for you, there are some routines that you've created that work for you, right? That didn't work the first 100 times. You had to keep at it. So while I do believe that there are some instances where it does make sense for your husband to just kind of do what you have already established, I do agree. They don't need to reinvent the wheel every time. However, they do need to have some autonomy, some control, some ownership in establishing their own routines. And look yourself in the mirror and see if you're even open to adopting some of the routines that your husband brings up. Because just because you think that your routine is brilliant and it's the way you like to do it and the baby loves it, doesn't mean your husband thinks it's brilliant. It might not be. It might be like the craziest thing ever. So, yeah, so just hold yourself accountable. Look yourself in the mirror. Are you giving your husband, your partner, your boyfriend, whoever, the space to become the father that they want to be? Or are you forcing them to just do everything you say to do the way you say to do it and being upset with them when they're taking too long to grasp something, when there is an uneven balance of time spent because you're with the baby more? Or even if y'all are with a baby the same amount of time, you have this deep connection to the child that your husband doesn't have. Your husband will have it. Just keep sliding. Your husband will have it, but give him time. Like, he wasn't carrying the baby for 9 months. The baby was not in his belly. When the baby is born, now he's holding, carrying. So, you know what? Maybe we should just do 9 months. I just burped, by the way. But maybe, like, give him grace for 9 months. Like, you you had never been pregnant before. You learned how to get through it because every day you were putting in the work. You learn something new every day. Give him that same grace to do that. All right, there's some more birds in my backyard. Okay, they're flying away. Yeah, give him the grace to do that too. Uh, so yeah, understanding, compassion, and accountability. Happy baby making, happy baby making. Oh, this was so. Well, before I end this, I do want to be very transparent in saying that this was very uncomfortable for me because I like to do chops in my videos. And I feel like when I just kind of go straight through, there are a lot of things that I miss, which result in needing to do follow up videos. And I'm not the biggest fan of follow up videos for things that don't really need to be followed up on. Like, if I'm watching something, it's like, you could have just told me right then and there. So that's kind of like what I try to do. So I'm pretty sure there are areas in this that didn't make sense or that I didn't represent what I was truly trying to say the right way. Do not have a monitor, do not have a script. Um, but I'll close this out by saying that postpartum can be scary, but it's not something that you can't get through without the right support system. And you don't, even if you don't know me, like, you don't really have to believe what I say, like, go watch somebody else's stuff. But if you do know me, you know how strong of a person I am, how willed and determined I am, how confident I am. Postpartum was no match for me. So that may mean nothing to you, may mean a lot to you. But I encourage you to please, please, please get the support you need, have a good support system, have a partner that is aware that this could happen to you, so you guys can go through that as a team. Okay. Bye.